Hey everyone, Paul ISM. Welcome to another step-by-step video build. Before we get going today, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the little bell notifications, get notified of all our latest videos. Click the like button and leave a comment. I do read and reply to all the comments and appreciate everybody that takes the time to leave a comment on the channel. And of course, if you scroll up in the description, there's a link to a big long list of all the items I use in my videos. So if you see anything, you should be able to find it in there. Okay, so welcome to part one of our Tamiya 124 Peugeot 307 WRC step-by-step build. So, hoping this will be a three-parter. It should be. It's quite a simple kit. We'll cover all the painting today of the body shell, get that all prepped, and then we'll move on part two, the interior, and hopefully part three we'll deal on getting it all together. So, typical three-parter. So this is a great kit from Tamiya, sadly discontinued now. It's quite hard to find, so if you do find one, grab it. I've got a few of them in the stash. I've built it twice. We'll have a little look through the box in a minute before we get going. 2005 kit, really, really nice. One of the metal chassis ones that comes in the oversized box. And it's a lovely, lovely kit. Not my first choice of car. If you said, here's a 307, I'd be like, oh, because, you know, as a road car, it was horrible in my opinion. A cabriolet, convertible. But as a rally car, it looks beautiful. I've always liked the look of it. And yeah, it's a very, very pretty car. It really is. So as I said in the little intro bit, if you watch that, anything you see me using, you'll find in the description of this video. Big long list, please click on it. So many people don't bother clicking on the list or listening to me by saying it's there and come and ask me where things are. So if you're going to watch the videos, at least go look at the list before you ask me a question. I've got no problem being asked questions, but it gets annoying answering the same questions over and over again when there's an intro bit at the beginning of every video, and I say in every video there's a list. There's a huge list of products. Just scroll down, you'll find 90% of what I use right there, and it's there to help people. So that's the idea of it. There we are. Right, let's jump straight in. Let's go have a look what's in the box and then get started with the build. Right then, so this is the kit we're going to build. This is Tamiya's 124 Peugeot 307 WRC World Rally Car. Now the kit scheme I've already done. I've also done an expert scheme as well. So the kit scheme is the total Marlboro kit scheme. Doesn't show the Marlboro decals on the box because obviously you can't show tobacco sponsorship. There are aftermarket decals that are for it, and I did it, and here's mine. I then used a set of, let me think, there was Studio 27 to build the expert car in orange, which is a beautiful looking scheme. And I've built this twice now. It's a beautiful kit, goes together really well. I've got 3 more in the stash, including this one, 3 more schemes to do. And if you can find one, pick it up because it is a lovely, lovely kit. So it's one of Tamiya's larger boxes, as you can see. It's one of their oversized boxes. We'll have a quick look what we get through the box. So in there you get your decals. So these are for the total scheme. So there's white stripes, total markings, etc, etc. All the interior fittings, decals as well. I'm not going to open it just yet. We've got our mask set for the screen, some metal decals for the wing mirrors, and the Peugeot logo there as well. So nice to get the cut masks. Instructions, typical Tamiya instructions. They literally are the iconic Tamiya instructions we all come to love over the years. Clear, concise, straight to the point, and cut out a lot of the mistakes. Now, it's not a huge amount of this kit. So we've got the body shell, really nice body shell, mostly moulded in one. All we're going to add onto it is a spoiler, really. Quite a bit of cleanup on it. There are quite a few seam lines on there, but as usual, just run from front to back. So just careful look and check and make sure you get rid of any seam lines that are there. Clear parts, typical Tamiya, no issues there at all. One piece for the interior and just 2 lights for the front and back. Rear lights are moulded in red, so that's good, saves a little bit of time. The alloy wheels, now the kit wheels on this are different. These are like Fujimi Aoshima. So you got the polycap in there rather than in the wheel hub. So these wheels are unique to this car, which is very unusual for Tamiya to do. So not quite sure why they did that, but they did. Discs are there as well, and unusually again, they are separate calipers to the disc. There's the calipers there, and there's your discs up there. In my experience, I would still glue them on before painting. I brush paint my calipers anyway. But yeah, not much to talk about there. Interior chassis tub, roll cage, spoiler, a few ancillary parts, your door handles, radiator, fire extinguishers, etc, etc, all in there. Really simple. Chrome parts for our front grille, rear lights, front lights, etc, all pre-chrome, no need to touch those at all. And the rest of the parts are dashboard, seat, helmet holder, steering wheel. You've got choice of 3 different seats as well, depending on drivers, door cards. Again, perfectly moulded in typical Tamiya style. Tyres, so a semi-gripped tyre. We've got some screws, which will become apparent why in a minute. And the reason for it, there should be some polycaps as well. They don't appear to be in here. I'm sure there's polycaps with this, but anyway, they will be here somewhere, just maybe not in the box. And then the chassis. So the chassis on these is metal. So it's pre-primed, ready to go. Solid metal, hence the reason for the screws. So you've got a couple of mounts to mount it to a display piece should you wish. And you've also got the mounting points to attach the chassis to the body. So it's a nice piece of metal. I'm not 100% sure why Tamiya do this. It adds a lot of weight to the model, so maybe that's it. But it's pre-primed, so you can literally paint that straight away. And as you can see, it's printed Tamiya 2005, giving an indication of the age of the kit. Right, so first up, we're going to have a look through our instructions. And we're going to pick out all the parts that need painting in the body colour. Now, we're doing a Pirelli scheme on this. So we've got yellow. So we're looking for the TS, I think it's TS49 it calls out for in the kit. But obviously we're not spraying those red, we're doing those in yellow. So I like to select all the parts to make sure I don't miss any out, because there's nothing more annoying than priming everything, painting everything, and realise you've missed a part later on, because you'll never get it the right colour. So it's worthwhile spending 10 minutes, not even that, 5 minutes looking through the instructions, familiarising yourself with everything, and just checking that none of the interior parts or the roll cage is the same colour as the body, and just familiarising yourself with everything in there. So luckily for us, well not luckily, but differently, the interior tub and the roll cage, etc. is silver on this car, so it adds a little bit of interest in colour. So we've got the body shell, we've got the spoiler, we've got the roof vent, door handles, and the door mirrors too. And there you go, as you see at the bottom. I nearly didn't see those. They are cut off, but I nearly didn't circle them. So like I say, worth spending a little bit of time just looking for the parts. So once we're happy we've got all the parts, we can then start the cleanup. So quite a lot of cleanup required on the body shell on this. Quite a lot of seam work to get off. The rest of the little parts are fairly straightforward, pretty typical. So we're going to go around and remove all the sprue points, as you can see. We'll cut them all off and sand them as and when required. Then got a UMP 400 thinny stick, and we're going to get to work sanding off any excess plastic, seam lines, or even any flaws that are in the plastic. So a bit of careful sanding. Any excess larger parts of plastic removed with our cutters. Tamiya cutters are my weapon of choice. Absolutely love them. Had them for years. And for me, I've not found a better one yet. So we've got a 400 thinny stick, but we're going to go up here to the 240, just for a little bit more power. It's quite a big piece that needs removing. We're not applying loads of pressure. We're letting the sander do the work. Clean it up. Once you're happy, hit it with a buffer, and that's that part clear. But again, as I always say, time spent here, preparation is key. It will pay off later on in the build. So as you can see, just removing a few bits of the sprue locator points here and there, making sure there's none showing. Seam lines are gone, and just making sure everything is smooth in preparation for our paintwork. Now there's a couple of annoying parts inside. You can't really get a sander in, so we've got a customizable sanding sheet from Ultimate. We cut it to size, just get it in the sides, a bit of vigorous sanding, not rigorous, vigorous sanding will remove that quickly. Now like I say, seam line front to back, typical of any car kit. A lot of it is hidden in mould lines and door shuts and so on and so forth, but there are some pretty prominent ones on the boot lid and the front and rear bumper, and they're actually quite tricky on this to remove. So I'm going to use a 400 thinny stick, a 400 customizable sheet cutter size, our 220 sponge, and our buffer to get rid of all of these. So just go around. A lot of people like to mark them in marker pen. I never do. I just like to look at them by eye and go around, clean them all up, polish them up and get them back to the plastic sheen that we want to finish with. But just be careful, just check everywhere, try not to remove any detail. The front rear bumpers are especially tricky on this. There's a little bit of detail you've got to be careful of, so make sure you just take your time and remove everything nice and slow. There's no rush. So everything's cleaned up. Now we're going to mount everything for spraying. So my little battery powered drill, which sadly you can't buy anymore, it was from Micromark. Little hole in the wing mirror inside where it will be glued so you can't see it at all. Put a 0.3mm hole in it and put a cocktail stick in it. That mounts it perfectly for spraying. We've got our roof scoop. You could glue a cocktail stick to it. Myself, I like to use a bit of white tack inside where it can't be seen. Push it fully home. And there we go. That's that ready. Spoiler's already mounted with a clip, as you can see. And that just leaves our door handles. Now the size of the door handles are rather fiddly. So a little dab of CA glue on a cocktail stick. Touch it on. And there you go. Both of those done and ready. So nice and simple. Fairly easy. So once we've cleaned up all the body, we've gone around, we've scuffed all the body up as we always did. Actually used the sponge sander, the 220 sponge sander today for this. I like to switch and change how I do things from time to time, and our sponge sanders are great. It's not a brand new one, it's slightly worn, so it's lost a touch of its sharpness that you get at the beginning. And if I go around the body and scuffing it all up, it does a perfect job. We've got some UMP airbrush cleaner on a cloth. You've seen me do this before. If you've not, go to the Subaru Techniques video and I go in depth on all this. Obviously you don't want to see it in every single build video. So we've gone around with the toothbrush, got all the dust out the panel lines, and now we've got some airbrush cleaner from UMP on a piece of clean kitchen paper, and we're just wiping over all the body to remove any residue, any dust, any fingerprints, anything on there that might contaminate or put a flaw in our paintwork. And then we've got a clean piece and just go around and drying it all off. Now doing this will attract a bit of static and you will notice a little bit of dust, but we have a solution for that, which is this. This is the Tamiya anti-static brush. Again, there's a link for this in the description down below if you click on the link. And a quick run over with this will remove any dust. And I tend to find it does stop the dust re-landing. So it's a really good, useful bit of kit. It's also very good for cleaning your built models too. Now, primer. Today we're going to use the Tamiya Fine Surface Primer. We're going to decant it, thin a bit of the Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder, and airbrush it on. So I've used this on and off over the years. It's a fantastic primer. It stinks to high heaven though. It really does smell. So make sure you've got a good spray booth and a mask as well. And obviously wear gloves. And we're going to decant a bit. So what we've done, we've cut a straw down to size. We put a little nick in the top of the straw, which then allows it to fit on the nozzle of the spray can. Now if it's too big or too small, use some white tack to hold it on. But as you can see with that little slit at the top, it puts it on perfect. We're going to bend the straw into our cup. Now it needs to be plastic straws for this. You can still get them. They are harder to find now, but if you go on the likes of Amazon, you will find them on there. We're shaking the can up really well, and now we're just spraying it in here. I put the medicine cup on the lid of the primer, just to give us a bit of height. And these are medical grade medicine cups. They're fine for lacquer paints. Any of the cheaper ones you get from pound shops or 99-cent stores don't like lacquer, and you will find they may melt. So money spent on these is well worth it. They're not any more expensive really, but you'll probably have to order them online. So I like to fill up the 25mm medicine cup because you do lose a little bit to off-gassing, and then that's enough to pop in our 20mm pot I've got over on the right there, which is an oversized Mr. Hobby pot. Okay, if you don't knock it off, I very nearly did a couple of seconds back, so just be careful. Make sure you get your extractor on and or your respirator because this does stink. Empty our straw, a little tap, there we go, pop that out of the way. And now a nice little trick, actually John Sharp put me onto ages ago, was to slowly put in a cocktail stick. Some of these paints can be volatile and react when you do that, so do it nice and slow. We've still got plenty of paint in there, so that can go away for another day. That is then left for 24 hours to off-gas. Do not put the lid on any containers it's in. Leave the lid off loose because otherwise it will off-gas. expand, and trust me, it will blow the lid off bottles or explode bottles, so always make sure you let it off gas. So we give it a whiz up with our Badger paint mixer. We're at 18 psi with the 0.35 UMP Apex airbrush, and we're going to start off with a light mist coat as always. Now it is a lacquer based primer. I believe it's a synthetic lacquer. That's where I was always told about these. I'm not 100% sure. At long last we started stocking them at Ultimate as well. Like I said, they are very good primers. They're good if you're in a rush. And me being me, I switch and change things all the time. Not for any particular reason, just for a bit of, change and what have you. And I thought we'd use it today on this, and I'll show you how to spray these. So we put a nice mist coat on. This is our second coat now. So we're not hosing it on, we're just putting nice even coats all the way around. It's a very light grey primer, so you can just about make it out on the model surface. As you can see, we're not going on too wet. We can build the coat up as we go. In my experience, all the Tamiya spray paints, when decanted, like to go on a little bit wetter. Third coat, and now we're starting to put it on a little bit thicker. So basically, we're just slowing down our passes. Still at 18 psi, 0.35 needle, and we're going to aim for 3 to 4 coats. As you can see, it's starting to go down a little bit wetter now. We're not hosing it on by any means, and we're letting it flash off 10 minutes between coats. If your room's particularly cold, you might have to leave it a little bit longer. If it's warmer, it will probably dry a little bit quicker. So again, just to be systematic, make sure you go all around, you get all those areas covered, including underneath, inside the windows, bottom of the sills. It's very easy to miss areas. Make sure you get all the angles on the lights, the grills, the vents, everything. Wheel arches, the lot. As you can see, this is our fourth coat now. 4 very light coats. You can see my colour cups just coming to the end. As you can see, we've got a fairly decent wet coat on there. Quick look around, and we're all good. So off camera bust on the spoiler and all the wing mirrors, etc. Now, the decal call out from Renaissance calls for TS47, so this has been decanted already. We've got a tiny little bit in that pot, and a full one there. A bit precarious over the model, careful Paul. So again, thinned with Tamiya, lacquer thinner with retarder. We put about 10 to 20% thinner in there, just to make it flow a little bit easier, and to give it a bit of retarder to dry a bit slower and give us a gloss. So we're going to give this 3 coats. Starting off light. We're not trying to hose it on because you'll just get all sorts of problems doing that. So just make sure you take your time. A little bit of a hair landed in there. It's nice and early on so we can grab it. There we go. Tweezers. There we go. Those particular tweezers live in the spray booth just for this job. And there we are. So yeah, all these paints were decanted the night before. They've off-gassed overnight. We give them a mix-up the next day. And yeah, here we are. 18 psi for the apex again. 1 part of the light coat, and then finishing off the top part. As you see, we're not hosing it on. We're just trying to get nice even coverage. Again, making sure we're getting all those grills, vents, recesses, every angle you can. Again, we'll let it off-gas for 10 minutes. And come back and apply 2 more coats. Now, after I did all 3 coats, I wasn't happy with the colour. To me, it looked a little bit too dark. Not as vibrant as the colour I've seen on the real car. I have a thumbnail of the real car in the video. So I thought we'll change the paint. So we do put 3 coats of this down, as you'll see. Building it up slowly, just making sure we've got no mark on the back before we put any paint down. But I do grab TS16, which is a much more vibrant yellow, and put a couple of coats over the top. And I think it looks a lot better for doing that. So if it was me and I was going to go do this again, I'd use the TS16 spray paint. Now, the colour is there in the lacquer paints in the mini pots as well, but I've got tons of these TS sprays, and I need to use them up. I got over 100 cans, so it's well worthwhile me using these. So we're getting inside now, inside all those A and B and C pillars, inside the rear of the lights and the grills. That way you get even coverage everywhere and don't miss it. Like I say, thinning these is beneficial. They do spray straight out of the can. You could use the router can if you wish, but I find them a little bit too heavy. And the airbrush gives a little bit more control and allows you to build your coats up a little bit slower. But it's still a nice colour. Had I left it, it probably would look good. But for me, it's just a tad too dark. There we go, that's the body given a coat. Spoiler now, we're getting all those angles of those veins at the back. And underneath. Again, not going too heavy, just making sure we get even coverage everywhere. There we are. So that can be put to one side. We'll then do the door handles, door mirrors, and our roof scoop as well. Now it's important when doing this, you do all these coats at the same time. So when you do a coat on the body, do a coat on these. That way you get an even cover. And when you're putting these parts on, they don't look odd. They don't look completely different colours. Because you spray something one day, then come back and spray the other, or spray them separately, you will end up with different colours. So I'm guessing this is about the end of coat number, it's either 2 or 3. As you can see, we've got nice coverage all over. And again, there's more coats we put on, the slightly heavier we get with the paint. Like I say, these paints do like to go down wetter, any of the Tamiya lacquers. They seem to self-level better and just give a better overall finish. Now, I don't mean hose it on at all, but just give a nice wet coat to get nice even coverage. It'll cut down an orange peel and you will get a much, much better finish. Now, one of the downsides to the TS sprays, in my experience, is they do take a little bit longer to dry than the likes of Gravity, Splash, Zero. They dry a lot quicker, and I think it's because of the gloss finish on them. There's probably a retarder in the paint already, and obviously we're adding a retarder to it too. It does tend to take a little bit longer to dry. So whereas with Splash, Gravity, Zero, I'd be happy to decal over them in 6 hours time. For me, these need to be left 24 hours. Just to make sure it's evenly covered, not covered, but evenly dry and cured, and you're not going to get any problems while decaling. Right, so there's all the TS47. I wasn't happy with the colour, so we've got some TS16. This was already decanted from a previous model. Again, we've left about half an hour on this just to see how it dries. And we're just going to add a couple of coats of this and just make it a bit more vibrant. You can already see the yellow changing. It's gone from a mustard to a much more vibrant yellow. Like I say, if I had the choice, I'd do this colour straight from the start. But hey, we live and learn. Again, just taking our time, not hosing it on, but we've already got paint down. So we don't need to be as careful as if we were starting from scratch. But you can see the colour change ever so slightly. It's not a massive colour change, but it is a slightly more vibrant yellow. And I think I definitely made the right choice by changing it. You can also see I've had a few mishaps on the bench where I've been spilling bits and bobs of paint here and there. My spray booth has, well, it started to show its age lately. I've also got my hobo-esque cover over the top of bin liners. I put in there as a trial to see if it stopped dust landing on the models, and it's worked. I'd say on my 2K coats and clear coats, including base colours and primer, I'm getting significantly less dust and hairs and bits and bobs landing in the finish, and I think because a lot of it is coming down from up above. So I put a couple of bin bags across the top as a trial. It's worked fantastic, and I'm going to tear this down when this video is made and rebuild my spray booth with a proper top on it. Hence the reason it looks a bit like a banana's exploding here at the minute. So there we go. This has had a couple of coats of the TS16 now. I'm just having a quick look to make sure I'm happy with the colour, and it looks all good to me. We haven't wasted TS47. That's in a clean jar now. We'll save that for a later model. So this is about 24 hours later now. All the paint's dried. You can see we've got a much more vibrant yellow. Very happy with that colour now. It looks a lot more like the colour on the decal sheet too. We've got our water warmed up nicely with our coffee warmer. We've got our decal solutions from Ultimate. A little bit of microset in that Tamiya part, our micro brush, and our Renaissance decals ready to go. So I'm not going to show the entire decal process because that would be boring and take forever. I'm going to show putting down one or two, and then we'll show a few as we go. So we pop the microset down first. You don't have to use it. I use microset to position the decals. That's what it's for, really. So get it in place roughly where you go. On this, you need to make sure that the front and rear pieces are equally overhung, if that makes sense, because they do fold around into the wheel arch, as you can see. Now, in my experience, the Renaissance decals are pretty forgiving. They will stretch if you're not careful. So if you're putting a bit of pressure on them, be very, very careful, especially when you've got decal setting solutions on there. Just make sure you're fully butted up where you want to go. There's a little sill line there we want to be right up against. I'm using our water pen with just microset on for now. Making it all sure it's in the right place. And then we've got a cotton bud to remove any excess liquid from behind the decal. Making sure she's set in place. And then we've got a little overhang there at the front. Now grab some normal UMP decal solution. If you've not tried our solutions, they are wonderful. They work very, very well. We've got our normal strength. Always start off with the weakest first to see what kind of strength you need. So we've got our normal one, which is equivalent, a little bit stronger than microcell for microscale, just a touch stronger. We've then got our strong, which is a touch stronger than Solvaset, which is quite hard to get in the UK. And then we've got our extra strong, which is about 30% stronger than Solvaset, so a lot more power there to get any stubborn decals down. As you can see, it's starting to work. We're still on our normal, so what we'll do now, we'll leave that for 5 minutes, come back and then start hitting it with the strong to get it fully in place. While we're waiting for that one to start doing its magic, we'll grab the Pirelli decal. So I use warm water. If you look up top right, you see a purple disc. That is my coffee warmer, USB powered. So that heats up the water in a decal tray. This then makes the decals come off the backing paper quicker. They're a little bit more flexible. And then this allows them to conform a lot easier and subsequently set a lot better. So definitely worthwhile trying the heat. Does make a big difference. So we got that in place. It's been hit with the normal. Left to set as we did before. Now we hit it with the strong. We're doing the same on the bottom stripe now as well. Hit it with the strong. So the decal solutions like to be put on, left for a couple of minutes. Don't let them pool up. They can leave marks if you leave them to pool up and can damage paint, some of them as well. But as you can see, those bits at the edge now have gone around our side. Now, I'm going to do something I wouldn't recommend doing unless you're very confident in what you're doing. I'm not quite happy where that one sat. So I've pulled it back and we popped it back in. No, still not happy. So we're going to pull it right back. Now bear in mind these decals are softening now. So you've got to be very, very careful. I'm quite confident with these decals. I've used Renaissance many, many times before. And there we go. Much, much better. Exactly where we want it now. Very careful application with the brush. Now, the water pens. A lot of people ask about these. There's links in the products in the description where you can get them from. They're made by Derwent. I used to use them full of solution. These are for holding water. For watercolor artists to blend their pencils. So you squeeze the bulb and you get a little bit of water coming out. I used to fill these with the decal solutions, but found out that they weren't airtight. And over time the solutions were losing their potency. But I love the brush on them. It's a very nice soft brush. And I've still carried on using the actual brush to this day. So they've set nicely on the side now. Very happy where they've gone. They've been hit with the strong, put in place, and they've settled down lovely. Now this rear decal that goes right round the bumper is a real tricky one. Because of the way it goes on, we need to have it straight on the back and straight on the side. When you straighten the sides up, you're left with creases. You can just see them there by the tweezers. You're left with some creases on the side. So my remedy for this was I'd rather have it straight on the side and we'll deal with the creases. So get the side straight with those first side stripes we put on the side of the car. As you can see, we're pretty straight there. I'm just going over these, giving them some solution, as I tend to do. So get the rear on straight, get the side on straight, and then deal with the crease. You can see the crease just there. So the way to work with this is get some of the strong solution on there. Just brush it until you get nice even creases all around and leave it for 5 minutes. Come back and do the same, and what will happen eventually is the crease will slowly start to disappear. It takes a lot of work, and without blowing my own trumpet, it does take a little bit of skill to do as well, and a bit of confidence to work the decal. But let the decal solutions work. We're just using the strong for now. As you see, we're getting a cotton bud now and just very lightly pressing it. What we're trying to do is make the creases smaller and smaller as we go. And like I say, these are very stretchy decals from Renaissance. They will take a bit of abuse, but keep making sure the sides are straight. The back's where you want it as well. And then we just need to work those creases. So brush decal solutions on there, leave it for 5 minutes, come back and brush it down until it's gone. And as you can see now, they've all but nearly gone there. So just need a final go over. So probably about 20 to 30 minutes working on this rear decal here, but we got rid of every single crease off it, and it looks almost perfect. Very, very happy with that. I know a lot of people use hair dryers. I'm not a fan of putting heat near a painted model at all, so I don't tend to do it. My system works very well, as do our decal solutions. And there we go, all set in place. We've got a bumper cut out in the back, so a little slit with a knife, and then some decal solutions again, and that deals with that. Now, another little tip, cigarette filters. I saw this tip on Facebook a while back. The disposable, well, the ones you can buy from any shop to make your own cigarettes, is the filter tips. Put one on a cocktail stick. It's nice and flat and absorbent, and it works really, really well absorbing any water and rolling across the decal as well. Because it's flat, it rolls the full width of the decal. Works very, very well, and it's a handy little tip. So any newsagents or tobacco shops should sell them. They're very, very cheap. You get hundreds in a pack, and they'll last you for a long time. So there we go, tricky little number plate now. As you see, we're getting all the decals on. We've got the stripes on the bonnet. They went down fairly easy as well. Just took some careful alignment, and I did have to trim them a touch as well. But yeah, beautiful decals, and the scheme's really starting to come alive as well. You can see now we've got the other Pirelli on the side and the other stripe there as well. Again, went down, no problems at all. And we're just going around now putting all the rest of the decals on. It's not a very in-depth scheme. The hardest part is that rear bumper. The rest of them are pretty straightforward. So we're coming in with the extra strong. So what I learned by doing these is they prefer the strong and extra strong just to get them to set properly. Like I said, they are very stretchy decals, and I found that I do just like the extra strong to get them to set in place properly. Roof scoop flag now, just making sure we're lined up properly. So we're all decaled. They've been left to dry for 12 hours. Now we're coming back with Tamiya enamel black panel line wash. And we're going to hit all our panel lines with the wash and bring them alive a little bit. So take your time. The less you get on, the less you've got to remove. So you want the capillary action to carry it. As you can see in some of the small areas it does. Some of the larger areas were fighting me today for some reason. But if we just touch the enamel wash on there, the capillary action should carry it around the panel line. What this does, it gives the illusion of depth in the panel line and brings the model to life a little bit, I think. So it's enamel, made by Tamiya. They're very hard to get in the UK. They're not officially imported. So you're going to have to try and source it from elsewhere, but you can get them on eBay and so on. And we're just putting a nice even coat in any recessed area. We'll let it dry for half an hour and then come back and wipe it off. So we've got a cotton bud. Now, because we don't let it fully dry, we shouldn't need anything on the cotton bud at all. If you get a little bit of semi-dry wash on there, that'll help remove any other wash as well. But over on the right, you see we've got a small dropper bottle. In there, we've got Winsor & Newton Sansador Odorless Mineral Spirit. You can find a link to that in the description of the video too. Put a little dab of that, and you can just remove any excess wash. Don't cover the model in it because it is a mineral spirit, and we don't want to get any contaminants on the body, really, if we can help it. But we're just removing all that excess wash, and then there we go. All done. The wash really adds a bit of depth to the panel lines and just brings it alive a little bit. So we're going to attach this now to our stand. My white balance is a little bit off. I adjusted it and didn't realise. I only realised literally about half an hour ago when I was doing my face to camera bit. So this has been left overnight again to next day. Most of these videos are filmed over several days. And we're attaching our car to our spray stand. So we've got some 18mm Tamiya tape. We put a piece through the middle, make sure it's on. We'll then grab, make sure it's straight. We'll then grab a smaller piece of the 10mm. And we'll go over top and bottom of that tape to make sure it's fully secured. And not going to fall off. I'm a little bit paranoid about this. I don't want to be 2K and something, getting a beautiful 2K job, and then the body shell falls off or something happens. So I make sure it's well and truly secured on that stand. Another tip of these stands as well, the top and bottom part does come apart if you're not careful. So a little bit of CA glue, or you can drill through it and put a bolt through it. So we're going to our spray booth. We're going to 2K it. Again, this is 24 hours after doing that panel line wash and the decal. We've wet down our spray booth. We've got our respirator ready. Got a brand new filter in this today. This is a full face Scott face mask. It's cost about £150. It's probably the best respirator I'll get for what I do. With a fully rated filter. Nothing will fully stop 2K though, but you just got to do the best you can with an extractor, ventilation, and a good mask as well. Again, the links for that in the description down below. We've got a Gravity 2K clear. Don't muck around with this stuff. It's not something to mess about with. Read all the safety instructions and all the safety warnings about isocerylate 2K clears. And yes, just be very careful and wear. I take as many precautions as I can. Double gloved, I've got a good extractor, keep all skin covered as well, and a good paint mask as well. So we put 6mm clear in the cup. We then added 2mm of the hardener. We give it a real good mix up. That gets the catalyst starting to work. Real good mix. It'll go from cloudy to clear. Make sure you get everything off. You don't want to waste any of this if you can help it. I literally had one more small trigger pull left to clear at the end. Literally just enough to do the car from the 10mm mix I've got. We then got 2mm of the thinner. Use a different pipette every time, otherwise you're cross-contaminating all the bottles. Pipettes are cheap, don't reuse them, don't clean them for this, because you will contaminate your 2K. 2mm of thinner in there. You can adjust the thinner ratios. For me, what Gravity recommends works perfectly. And again, thoroughly mix it. As you can see, I've got my skin covered on my left arm now as well. And we're going to strain it through a 190 micron paint strainer. Now Gravity have told me they don't need to do this. Their paints are pre-strained. I like to do it. I always have done and I always will. Just giving everything a blow with the airbrush there to make sure there's no dust. And we run it through. Again, links to these in the description. All the medicine cups, pipettes, gloves, the strainers, everything is linked in the description. I put any rubbish over to the right hand side out of the way. And there we go. We've got our anti-static brush again. We're going to run over the entire model. As you see, those decals are laid down beautifully. The panel lines brought everything to life a little bit. Really vibrant, really looking good, and it's a beautiful decal scheme as well. So I'm not going to go in depth with the 2K. We're going to give it a dust coat to begin, our tack coat. So it's not a full wet coat, it's a semi-wet tack coat. We'll then come in with a wet coat and then a full wet coat at the end. If you want to see me spray this in more depth, there is a review to the Gravity paints 2K. Again, it's in that link in the description of all the products, it's there. Or if you go back through the channel, it's there as well. So the idea of this first coat is a semi-wet tack coat. 2K is very, very sticky, and after it starts to go off after 5-10 minutes, it gets even stickier, and what this then allows is the wetter coats to stick and not run as quickly, or at all really we want, because it's hitting a sticky surface already. So for this, a nice even tack coat all around. What you want is like a semi-gloss sheen off it. You don't want it too glossy, don't go too hard too fast, just get a nice even finish all over. Again, making sure you get all the angles and recesses and so on to get even coverage, and pay attention to the bottom of those sills and the edges of the bonnet and the boot. It's very easy to not put enough down. I've done it many times. I've learnt my mistakes over the years. And just get nice even coverage. One thing we have done off camera as well, we've painted our side repeater indicators as well. We just brush painted them in our Vallejo silver. I didn't cover it on camera, I completely forgot, but we just carefully brush painted them before 2K because I find it easier before, because with 2K it is a slightly thicker clear coat. You can lose a little bit of definition of parts. The beauty of the gravity stuff is it's nice and thin compared to others. So there we go, that's our tack coat down. As you can see, it dried semi-gloss, not a full gloss. You can still see the orange peel in it, and that's perfect for me. Now we're going to come back with our wet coat. Now we're through the Ultimate Apex, we're at 20 psi, it's a 0.35 needle nozzle, and this is our wet coat now. So we go a little bit heavier, we've slowed down the passes a little bit. We're not trying to get that perfect finish off this coat. I find if you do a full wet coat, as in trying to get it flawless now, your next coat then is a little bit too heavy and it can look a bit thick. So I do this so I just get a nice even coverage. It's near enough perfect, but we can still see a little bit of orange peel, or it's not quite as smooth as it should be, and then we'll get that full beautiful finish on our last final coat. So again, just taking our time. I leave 10 minutes between each coat to let it tack up a bit and off gas a touch. The extractors kept running all the time. We've wetted the surface of the kitchen paper as well to help catch any dust. Extractors on, it's got a brand new filter in it. My mask stays on the whole time. Make sure you're not spraying this stuff in rooms in the house where you've got other people, or other people can smell it, because it's really not good stuff at all. Please be wary of all the safety precautions of 2K. It's not to be taken lightly. If it's not for you, there are other clear coats out there, Aqua Gloss and the Tamiya lacquers and what have you. But nothing will beat this finish out the airbrush at all. Nothing comes even close. And it's safe over decals because you're only putting a very small amount of thinner in there. It's a lot safer on the decals. So there we go. We've gone all round. We've got nice even coverage everywhere. With a quick look, as you can see, we have got a sheen, but it's not a perfect sheen, and that is about right for me. I find, like I say, if I try to get too good a coat on this, the next coat is a little bit too much, and it can look a bit thick in places. So as you can see, we have got a nice sheen, but it's not absolutely clear as day as this one will be. So in between coats, I'm putting my plastic cover over the body shell as well. Stop any dust or anything damaging it. And here we go with our third coat. So the exact same mix. We are using the same mix all the way through. We're keeping the airbrush loaded between coats and even when it's drying. Same PSI, and now we're just slowing down our passes again. And this is our full wet coat now. So we want a flawless finish off this. If you can see any orange peel, you need to put a touch more 2K on it. So use your light to your advantage. Angle it, and you can see the finish, because what you get now is basically what you're going to get when it dries. So if you see orange peel now, you're probably going to get it. So we're doing a nice even coat all around, making sure we get a lovely deep finish. What I like to do then is put it to one side for 5 minutes in its case. Just let it sit for 5 minutes, because you'll find it'll set a little bit more and self-level, and then take it out and just have a quick look before you start cleaning airbrushes and so on and so forth, just to make sure you're happy with it, because you can always put another coat down in areas should you need it. It's trial and error with 2K. It's taken me a couple of years to get to the level I am with it now. I've tried all different brands and different techniques, and even non-2Ks. Whilst you can get a decent finish, you've got to be very careful of decals and what have you. 2K is just the safer route with the models. As long as you follow the health concerns and safety precautions, you should be just fine. Again, we're just angling it towards the light, having a good look. Looks good to me. Not too bad at all. So yeah, there we go. Happy with that finish. That doesn't look bad at all. So there we go. This is after 5 minutes of sitting. I pulled it back out again to have a look. As you can see, we've got a very nice finish there. Nice and glossy. We've got no orange peel. Everywhere looks good. We've got no runs. Very happy with that. I'm just going to knock our light off and have a little look. There we go, beautiful. Now, we've got my modified plastic tub here with clips in, holds the display, the Tamiya turntable stand in perfectly, and allows us to keep it safe. It's got vents in the side to let off gas properly. But yeah, that's a beautiful 2K job, very happy with that. So as you can see, they all pop in there safely, keep everything away from the body. Pop our lid over, it clips in place, and that body will not move in there now. It's held in place nicely. Safe, out the way of dust and damage. And if you've got a few of these, you can stack them. There we are then, so that's where we're at today. All the body shell has been prepped, primed, painted, decaled, give it a wash, and it's now clear coated as well. So it lives in this box. You see I've got vents on the box, it's safe in there, secure, it's not going anywhere. No dust can land on it once it's been painted. It's the day after now, so it's near enough touchable now. So we'll leave that in there for probably 5 days to a week. Because we're doing a video build, I don't rush through the video builds. I'll leave that and then come back and do a bit of work in a few days. I like to leave 2K 5 to 7 days. You know it's properly cured then, and then give it a good polish up and really get it gleaming as well. Not a lot of flaws in this, which is pretty good. Not a lot of dust landed in it, so that saves a little bit of work down the line, but we'll still completely flat it and give it a good polish up with the ultimate polishing system in subsequent parts. So there we go. As always, if you've got any comments or questions, pop them down below. If you've seen me use some today, please remember there's a list in the description down below. You'll probably find it in there. If you get stuck at all, please PM me. I've got no problem with that. But there is a big long list of everything, so you will probably find things in there if you look. Yeah, we'll be back part 2 in 4 or 5 days or so. Keep an eye out for other videos. Make sure you sub to the channel. Click the little bell notification, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. I do read every single comment and appreciate all the kind words left behind by everybody. Really, really do. Check out International Scale Model Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com. We can get a lot of the things I use in my videos all handily from one place. We're still operating even during these horrible times at the minute. Check out my Paul ISM Facebook page where all my personal modelling work is shared. And check out the Live the Bench page and the Off Air Hangout group for the live shows and the Off Air Hangouts. Thanks for watching today. Stay safe, stay at home. I'll catch you all next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.